Okay. The Buddhist worldview says that since beginningless time, our awareness, or our minds, whatever you want to call it, talking about that part of us that feels, thinks, experiences, perceives, has been cycling through samsara, unsatisfactory conditions, endlessly, just on and on and on. Birth, aging, sickness, death, birth, aging, sickness, death. Constantly moving through the 6 realms. The hell realm, the hungry ghost realm, the animal realm, the human realm, the demigod realm, and the God realm. Constantly looking to try and get rid of these unsatisfactory conditions. But it is only that awareness that is moving through. It is only that mind that is moving through, nothing else. And since it is only that mind and awareness that's moving through, then the mind has to be the source of our happiness and pain. It has to be, because there's nothing else. And it doesn't matter whether in this lifetime we look like a human being, we look like an animal, a cat, or a cockroach, we look like a Klingon, or a Wookiee, or a Taurian, it doesn't matter. It's just that awareness, right? And yet, if it's only the awareness that's moving through, we become attached to things. And why is that? Because we don't recognize what they actually are. Absolutely nothing. Nothing inherently existent anyways. We give them qualities that they don't have. And then we become attached to them. We cling to them. And because they're not inherently existent, that's where the source of our pain comes from. And it's that clinging to it that causes us the pain and suffering. If we recognize that our awareness is moving through what we call reality, and they don't have these qualities, then we don't have to cling to them. We don't have to cause ourselves suffering and pain. We can actually take the attachment, the ache out of that attachment, of every person, place, or thing that we've ever even conceived of. And we can transform it. We can transform that attachment to everything. We do this by recognizing what is and is not real. The only thing that's real, if we want to use that word, is that awareness moving through space and time. And it's that mind. So let's consider the nature of the mind. I'm not talking about the brain. That's just a physical object that happens to be attached to us, happens to be attached to our awareness in this lifetime. The Buddhist worldview says it has 2 qualities. It has clarity and awareness. Clarity, it is formless and allows objects to rise in it. Awareness, it can engage with those objects. We can actually watch the mind. That's what it means. We can sit there and say, what is this thing that's thinking? What is this thing? Where are these thoughts coming from? We can watch those thoughts arise. We can turn attention to the mind that is thinking, actually. And that's, so that's kind of neat, actually, figuring out what is going from lifetime to lifetime. Never stopping for one moment, always going, moment by moment by moment. Always changing, always growing. Being reborn again and again in samsara. This is where the source of our pain comes from. So if we think about the mind and rebirth, we realize that our awareness is not simply this person, place, or thing, but instead a continuum that stretches back from beginningless time. And time itself is nothing more than a moment after moment after moment. But does it have to be this way? No. The Buddhas taught us that humans, or all of the awarenesses, and he taught humans especially that the 4 Noble Truths. He explained what is happening to us, this mind moving from moment to moment. He taught us that these are unsatisfactory conditions, and these need to be recognized. He taught that these unsatisfactory conditions have causes that need to be abandoned. He taught that there could be a cessation to these unsatisfactory conditions, which need to be actualized. And he taught that there was a path that could bring us out of these unsatisfactory conditions, but only if that path is practiced. Now, part of practicing this path is understanding that everything has 3 characteristics. Everything, and just like us, everything is transient, unsatisfactory, and does not have any self. Everything is, like I said, everything is constantly changing moment by moment. This is what we call reality. But it's our refusal to accept this reality that causes us pain. Even our happiness is only low-grade pain. Everything we do, no matter what, we will eventually tire of. If we stand up too long, we want to sit down. If we sit down too long, we want to stand up. And we can understand that nothing, absolutely nothing, is solid and independent with a findable core or self. If we realize these things, then we don't have to cling to them. It doesn't necessarily exist. Now, I'm talking about the awareness that inhabits the body. We need to recognize right now is the time to find our way out of samsara. And we have a wonderful opportunity because we have the precious human life. We have all the causes and conditions that we need to practice the Dharma. But are we using this precious human life to our best advantage? Do we understand the purpose of this life? Are we making it meaningful? Are we taking advantage of the opportunities that we have in this precious human life? Can we make each moment meaningful? Can we make each moment in our life meaningful, transforming in each moment into the path to awakening? Do we understand the rarity and difficulty of attaining a precious human life? We all know the story of the blind turtle who comes up once every 100 years and from a world that's just made of sea. And on this sea, ocean, whatever you want to call it, is one golden yolk. And the chances of finding this precious human life that we have right now it's the same as the chances of that turtle putting its head through that yolk. Very, very rare. So what's keeping us in samsara? It's our attachments, our aversion, and our ignorance to things that don't inherently exist. Our attachment to material possessions, praise and approval, a good reputation, and to the pleasures of the five senses, and our aversion to their opposites. These are what we focus on in this life. And they take up so much of our time that we don't concentrate on the path to liberation. They dominate our lives, causing us problems and waste our potential. So we need something to take our minds off these eight worldly concerns. We do this by reflecting on death and impermanence. Okay, there's a 9-point death meditation, and especially imagining our death, which is good at focusing our mind, and so that it'll be most helpful. Practicing the path to liberation continually, beginning now and doing it purely. But we need guides along this path. We need someone we can trust. We need someone that we can take refuge in other words, have faith and confidence in. And this is the 3 jewels: the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. We take refuge in them so that we can open our hearts and that they can teach and guide us on the path to awakening. But we have to understand these refuges, its meaning and the causes and the qualities of these 3 jewels. And Buddhism gives us an analogy to help us do this. We are sick. That's what we are in samsara. Samsara is the illness. The Buddha is the doctor, the Dharma is the medicine, and the Sangha is the nurses that help us take this medicine that the doctor prescribed to get us well. In other words, free from samsara. But we have all this baggage that our awareness is dragging from lifetime to lifetime. It's a residue, if you will, left over from our actions that we have done in this lifetime and in previous lifetimes. And our intentional actions, which we call karma, they leave imprints on our mind that influence what we will become and what we do. And we all know that karma has 4 characteristics. It's definite, it's expandable. If the cause hasn't been created, then you won't experience the results, whether good or bad. And that the imprints do not get lost. So in dealing with others, instead of doing the 10 destructive actions, we do the 10 constructive actions. Then the results of the karma, when it ripens, will be positive and probably a lot easier to live with. There's a way to mitigate some of the effects of negative karma that we've created, and that's we practice the 4 opponent powers of purification. What we really need to do is to look at everything bad about cyclic existence and its causes so that we can generate the determination to be free from them. First, we look at the 8 sufferings of human beings, and then the 6 sufferings of cyclic existence. Then we look at the causes of cyclic existence and the factors that stimulate the arising of disturbing attitudes and negative emotions, and the paths that bring about their cessation. These are all lists. Yeah, I know, okay, lists. And they're questions that each of us needs to look at and study and meditate on so that we can apply them to our practice. As Mahayana practitioners, we're working to become awakened for the benefit of all sentient beings. In other words, Bodhichitta. We start with looking at equanimity, realizing all sentient beings are the same as we are and are equally worthy of everything that we think we deserve. We need to recognize that all sentient beings have been our parents in one lifetime or another since beginning of time. And we need to want to repay their kindness. This includes all sentient beings, no matter what they look like in this lifetime. The way we do this is by equalizing self and others, looking at the disadvantages of self-centeredness and the advantages of cherishing others. We need to treat all sentient beings with loving kindness and compassion. We need to exchange self and others. In other words, change who is important and cherished from self to others. The taking and giving meditation is a great way to accomplish this. Then we generate a strong determination to be free, to take responsibility to liberate all sentient beings from cyclic existence with us, and to bring them to Buddhahood. This is called the Great Resolve and the altruistic intention, Bodhichitta. To do all this, we need to generate a whole lot of merit. How do we do that? By practicing generosity, ethical conduct, and fortitude towards all sentient beings. And we need to do this with joyous effort, concentration, and wisdom. This is a lot of work, but it's not impossible, especially if we learn how to rely on spiritual mentor. Now, I don't know if you realize it or not, but I just went through the entire Lamrim. Yep. So this is what we're trying to do, and I hope you all have a good time doing it.